This is fun.
It's okay. I already started it. I don't even care.
Really?
Yeah, we're streaming right now.
Hey, what's up, guys? What's up? Okay. Well, you entertain them for a minute. I'm gonna see if I can find another one of these.
How am I supposed to entertain them? There are a lot of people, and I'm just one me.
You got this, bro. You got this. You were made for this. Just give me a couple minutes. I'm gonna find another HDMI cable, and hopefully I'll bend this one in half.
I figured 5 minutes late was too much. I just couldn't take it anymore.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm sure I have another cable. It's just how finding things around.
It's starting back up now. Hold on.
You're fucking terrible at this. All right,
hold on.
Somewhere close to my mouth. And now the focus is all fucking out of whack again. There we go.
Okay. It's going to be going back up here in a second. Hold on. You just wait for it. Okay, we're back up now. I think we're back up now.
Well, I'm not. Am I?
I just couldn't take it anymore.
It says the Skype call's dropped, bro.
Does it?
I think. No, it's just red. Hold on. Let's see if this works. Anything?
No, just spinning wheel still. Ugh.
Come on, guys. I got this. This is why you have to have 7,000 different devices. There we go. Yeah.
I don't even care. Oh, there's Jerry again. Hi.
Hey, what's up, guys?
My goodness.
So bad.
Goodness.
Bad.
I wouldn't have this any other way, to be honest.
This is just how it works. You know what the funny thing is? I did a Skype call. I had a business meeting last night, and I got on it. And it was like razor sharp, 1080p. The audio was like crystal clear on both ends. I'm like, man, you really look good on that camera. And I'm like, you never know it from Tech Talk. You never would know it.
Tech Talk cannot run flawless. It can't. I won't allow it. I will not allow this, guys, to ever happen. Okay, I'm just running the intro. Here we go.
Roll the intro. Welcome to Tech Talk, where shit never works, and you'd swear to God we don't know anything about what we're doing, but we still get paid. All right, I don't know if that ran the length or not, but
it did. But I mean, I'm even embarrassed of our intro. Like the intro is 3 years old.
It is, dude. Well, it's because we haven't improved anything else. Why break?
Exactly, guys. Welcome to Tech Talk, the show that has nothing to do with tech ever. We won't allow it. It's a weekly hangout. It's really all it is. We just call it. It's you know why? Do you know why it's called Tech Talk? Because that's what I called it 4 years ago. Because I was like, I'm gonna do this podcast about tech, and it's gonna take off, and it's gonna make me famous, and it never did, and I'm okay with that.
Nope, it was Tech Talk until you brought ADHD with you, and then it all went downhill. But I like it. This is like I said. This
ADHD Farter McFarterson.
Okay, check this out. So you guys want to see why my camera? I don't think this is supposed to be like that.
It was incredibly out of focus, obviously, because you're on manual focus, but leave it that way. Yeah, we were late because we were like, why isn't Jerry's video working? Well, he snapped his HDMI cable in half, like the connector.
That is the cheapest. Don't buy this cable. It's a U-Green. A U-Green HDMI to mini HDMI, and that's
it's the mini side that broke. Okay.
Yeah, with the weight of the camera. You seen how small my camera is, the RX 100?
Yeah.
Literally, that falling over on a tiny tripod on my desk was enough to fold that over. Like, I don't even understand that.
Okay, but I'm assuming Amazon here.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, yeah, I did the same thing.
Well, the nice thing is at least it's so weak it couldn't possibly break the camera, right? So,
but I folded the full size HDMI.
Oh wow, serious?
Yeah.
I don't even know how you could make that weak if you tried.
Audio
levels good. Are we back in business here? We're
good.
Okay, cool.
We're good.
My video quality.
So at CES, I had the small HD, the field recorder or the field monitor, right, on my FS5.
Yeah.
And it toppled over on the bed, and hit the HDMI cable, and the HDMI cable was like yoink, 90-degree bend.
I wonder if they just designed those things to fail so they don't take out your device.
I think they make them out of aluminum foil.
Probably. By the way, I still have your charger for your field monitor. It's sitting in a box out on my outside of the room. If you want me to mail that back down to you, I will, or bring it with me.
Just bring it with you when you come down here, because apparently you're coming down here soon.
I am, because I need to get out of Washington.
Well, hold on, guys. I'm going to unplug a USB device real quick, and it's going to be my computer making that sound, not yours. Hold on. Okay. It was bugging me sitting right here. This guy. I didn't need this right here.
Hey, before everybody thinks that I'm the only numbnuts on this show, let's not forget that before the live stream started, you guys missed the 5 minutes of Jay accusing me of having loopback, and it was on his random hour the whole time.
I owned up to it. I admit it. I could have just been like, oh, wait, it's fixed. It's fixed, and not said anything.
Jay just assumes that all the problems are on my side. So I'm like over here like ripping my mixer board apart, plugging it, and rejacking it to USB.
Which led...
Like, oh, I forgot to push the button on my mixer board. Shit.
I forgot to turn on phantom power in my mixer board because I was recording system sounds earlier. Anyway, which led to the toppling over of your camera and your broken HDMI.
It did. That was like that one event just created the butterfly effect. It just took out all our...
It was pretty funny. I was like, why can't Discord hear me? I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. My mic has no power right now.
I couldn't connect to Discord because Discord was having a problem. And then I disconnect from Discord and just click connect. Like disconnect, connect. And it's like, can't connect. Can't connect. Then it finally connects. And I'm like, are you fucking serious?
Yeah, that's on Discord. That's not on my phone. Oh, my God, I'm so hungry right now. I've only had a smoothie and a bowl of cereal today.
Well, it's because you're not fat anymore. If you're fat, you wouldn't have these problems.
If I keep eating like this and not eating at all, I'll be fat again.
There you go. My lighting should be okay now that I've got like 2 freaking daylight panels on me and 350-inch monitors.
No, because your camera's like, oh, too bright, and pulled it down again.
It shouldn't have. I don't have it on auto.
Don't touch it.
You motherfucker. I'm gonna
don't touch it. Don't touch it. No,
I'm not doing it. But I am gonna wait. Why am I getting hotel information emails? Did you guys get me a hotel room? Oh, you shouldn't have. No, it's for PDX land. I will be in PDX land. Woo! My room is confirmed.
You know what sucks? Again, guys, this is not about tech. This week's never okay. We're never about tech, but this week especially, it's not about tech talk.
It's an ironic name, guys. It's an ironic name.
It's just, I mean, what should we change the name of it? I don't think so.
No, I think we should just do like business meetings in the IRS. As long as we talk about it for 1 minute, it's basically valid. So let's just say fucking computers are awesome. Electrons flow through it. There's these like little transformer doohickey water cooled muffler bearing things that make everything work. Yeah, it's awesome.
Muffler bearings.
Go AMD.
BMWs have muffler bearings like the 335i's because they have like flap valves inside the mufflers.
See, you're ruining my joke because that was my favorite joke forever, and BMW had to go in.
I'm so excited though. I mean,
whoa, we gotta hold the phone here. I just got, I think, the biggest donation I've ever received on here.
5 cents.
No, Daniel Rainey just donated $200 and said, "Thank you for everything you do. I have a question for you and Jay." Jay's probably not gonna.
I'm not answering shit with that kind of donation.
I'm looking to build a PC for my semi. Oh, he's a trucker. I'm wondering what you to prevent damage and having it from having it constantly traveling. It'll be in the truck and always moving any ideas. As long as you go with the SSDs and shit, you're never gonna have a problem.
Just buy a laptop.
I mean, a laptop would probably be the better option if you're traveling. I mean, honestly, than having to have an inverter plugged into a PC. But I mean, if you want to do like, and the thing is, if you want to do super high powered gaming and stuff like that, like you even have a laptop in your possession right now that has a Titan in it, right?
No, I misspoke. I said I wish I had a Titan. It's a 1080 in there.
Oh, it's a 1080, but still a 1080 is more than sufficient on a laptop.
Well, okay, so I have 4 laptops right now. I've got one that's got a 980M in it. I've got one that's got a 1070 in it. I've got one that's got a 1080 in it, and I've got one that's got a 1060 in it.
Wow.
Two of them are being sent back because by the time I was like, okay, I have the time to review these now. They're like, oh, well, we have a new model coming out. I pulled a Jerry, so I'm like, I'll just send you back these old ones. Then they're the EVGA ones.
Whoa, that is like a solar flare when I move my head, huh?
I told you, and you're like, it can't be. It's on manual. So clearly, it's not.
You just mind your phantom power there, bro. Mind your phantom power. So Daniel, you think he should get a laptop, right? I think we're, unless he wants, does he want to, even if you want to hook it to the screen in his cab, let's say he's got like a 40-inch screen or something in the sleeper on a semi. I mean, you just plug a laptop into that, right? I mean, laptops all have HDMI and DisplayPort out now. Yeah,
that's what I was just gonna say. Is so many people like, you know what I love about Kyle's new skit is he nailed the PC Master Race perfectly. Like, you know what's worse than than consoles is PC Master Race, because all PC Master Race does is fight amongst itself, and then wonder like, why is the community so toxic? And then it's like, oh, fuck you, AMD fanboy, fuck you, Nvidia, yeah, fuck you, and it's like, the only like common enemy they have is console peasants in their mind. So I don't subscribe to that mentality at all. But one of the things I've seen that Master Race is really quick to turn and poo-poo on is laptops. Because yes, they're very overpriced. They're very expensive compared to their desktop counterparts. But they have their place or they wouldn't fucking exist. Okay, that's the way I look at it. And a big, powerful laptop like an Asus or a Titan from MSI, like the GT73 VR Titan is the one I have right here on the right that I've been reviewing, has 100% of the power of a desktop, okay, with a 1080 in it. And it has HDMI output and pass through, so you could do everything you want. If you got yourself like a decent TV in your cab, I'm sure these, depending on how old his rig is, a lot of these have TV hooks like mounts on there now for the side of the cab, and you can use that as your panel too if you want something bigger. But then you can just unplug it and take it out of your truck, and you're not stuck with it being in there as an item to be stolen because it's permanently affixed in there as like a desktop.
Yeah, I mean, I would go that route too, and that's coming from somebody who's had a car PC before. I mean, I built a full ATX computer with inverters and even fiberglass in a screen to the dashboard and everything. And it looked cool. Don't get me wrong; it was pretty badass. But in hindsight, it's like I could have just taken a laptop and ran a cable to the screen and the dashboard, and I would have had something that's just as powerful.
Someone's complaining about me saying the F word.
Why the fuck would they do that?
Because they're fuckers.
Man.
Anyway.
Tech Talk. We're allowed to swear on this show.
No, I used to feel bad, but then I actually looked at my analytics deeper, and my largest demographic is that like 24 to 30 whatever range. Like I've captured my baby boomers and my Generation X. I've captured my age group. I'm happy about that. Fuck that whole 13 to 17 age group on YouTube, man. It's all about us that actually go out there and work and carry the world on our backs. Yeah. I love my Generation X followers, man. I'm telling you. That's a hard group to capture. And you know that.
It is. And I think I haven't looked at my analytics in a while because I don't want to be depressed. But I think last time I checked, my demographic was pretty equal between 18 to 24, and then it was like 35 to 46 or something like that were the two biggest groups. And then there's a slump in between. And I was like, oh, it's kind of weird. I wonder why that is.
And then you have this huge, like 60 plus woman, like this female following, 60 plus. Actually, that'd probably be me with my touch of gray.
Hey, Daniel, I emailed him really quick and told him get a laptop, and he emailed me back and said, I already got a laptop. I'm just looking to build a PC in a truck because I've never seen it done. So in that case, get yourself a fiberglasser to build you a custom case under your bed or along the side of the wall or something like that. Yeah. And go get yourself a micro ITX motherboard, or hell, it's a big rig, right? Screw it. Build a full ATX liquid cooled everything and stick it. Although I wouldn't do liquid cooled in the truck moving around constantly, right?
Because liquid cooling, no, it's not gonna damage itself.
It'll be all right.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, so the only part you really had to worry about in the past was the hard drive, because I speak from experience. I killed 3 Western Digitals in my car PC because I turn on my stereo and then all of a sudden I just blue screen the machine, and I thought it was a power issue. No, I was literally knocking the needle off the platter.
Funny. So Michael Peroni in chat just opened up Pandora's box. I want to discuss this so badly, but I don't want to at the same time.
Well, then we're
gonna the topic is controversial when I'm willing to be like, I don't want to touch it.
I want to touch it.
He said, what about us millennials?
Well, you basically just said fuck millennials in so many words. Gonna embrace the millennials.
Look, I just hired a millennial. Nick's a millennial. Nick is a millennial, but he's not a millennial deep down inside. The guy's willing to actually work.
You know what? I am of the opinion that people are not their age.
Nobody, dude. Like mental age and physical age are so two different things.
Dude, I know some 15-year-old kids that run circles around me.
Hell yeah, dude.
So I'm not of age means nothing. When I
buckle up, Buttercup.
When I hear the word millennial, I think of a reference to the derogatory, right? The group of people within that age group that act a certain way. I don't look at it as that age group. So if you consider yourself a millennial, then yeah, I guess you're accepting all the stuff that comes along with that.
My wife is actually offended because apparently whoever like classifies these generations, like Generation X, Generation Y, baby boomers, and millennials, has apparently tried to start putting like our generation in with lumping us with the millennials, and she's like super offended at that.
Don't do it. We work.
Look, millennial. I can't even spell millennial. What does that tell you about me? I feel like it's too broad to say millennial, because I'm really a millennial was basically like the turn of the century baby boom, right? That's really
its definition is just the age bracket that you are.
Literally. But millennial has been turned into a term of like the pink-haired dude, the bronies, right? I mean, these have kind of been what's defined the millennials. I think the loud ones, that loud minority within the millennial group, that's kind of made everyone look bad.
Yeah, the word has been expanded far beyond its definition. Because if we look at Webster's dictionary, millennial simply means of or relating to a millennium, or relating to or being a group, part of the group or movement that believes in the coming millennium. That's it, or relating to the generation born between 1980 and 1990. That's like literally like there's not even a fourth definition in here that's like the slang of it. That's like you're a dick because you're a millennial. It's like it's not in there. Oh
Yeah.
no.
Okay. That sucks, dude. So, okay, here's how it basically goes. And yeah, so they are calling us millennials now with the official like generations. Which generation are you? And it's actually a part of Career Planner. That's stupid. So the silent generation was 1925 to 1945. The baby boomer generation was 46 to 64. They're just dyslexic on that one. Generation X, or the baby bust, is 1965 to 1979, and then Generation Y dash the millennials dashed Generation Next is 80 to 95.
But what you forget is I was born in 1979.
How can they lump three together like that in only a 15 year span there?
Oh, here. Do you want to hear the urban dictionary millennial?
Well, then I feel like I'm carrying the entire millennial generation on my back. Then
you are the entry into it. It says otherwise known as Generation Y, or the Internet generation. IGen. Millennials are people born between the years 1980 and 1995. Wow, this is even more specific than just 1990. Millennials are often echo boomers. Their parents were a part of the baby boom, and they are often extremely tech savvy. Wow, they are being way too nice to millennials. I'm thinking that definition got written by a millennial. By, let's see, Kylie Bronte, November 11, 2007. Okay, that's when the definition.
And yeah, that's right. Because in 2007, that was pre like super political correctness. Because that sounds like that was written like by a PC lawyer. I'm telling you right now. Will this statement offend anybody in this generation? I don't know.
It didn't sound Urban Dictionary at all. Like it looked like something fine in Webster. I had to just throw another E on the end of there to make it work for me.
Howard Curtis in chat said 98. Ha! Fuck you, millennials. What is the current generation? Does it have a name yet, or is it just generation like curse the world? I don't know.
I don't even care, man.
No, the reason why this conversation even came up is because when I took Nick to dinner last night to have the discussion about hiring him. He asked me because he's going through business school, and he goes to a very liberal college, and he's very bipartisan, which is kind of cool. He kind of looks at things from both sides, which is very rare for a millennial, I guess, myself included. And he asked me if I was considered a baby boomer. I was like, oh no, like there's different baby boom periods, but baby boomers. He learned, I guess, in school about like the baby boomers are leaving the workforce. They're not working no more. But the follow-up generations, especially these protesters and shit now that want everything for free, they're not prepared to take over the workforce that's being left in their hands. Like the world is fucked. That's all there is to it. And guys like me have left the workforce to work for myself, and that's apparently not okay to a lot of them.
No, I agree with that. Let's just stick with the world is fucked for now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of that for. I need to get some of those accent lights, dude. That's
It's
like
generation don't label. Can't label me. You can't put me in a box. What if I want to be in a circle? I want to be in a ball. You can't put me in a box. I'm gonna live in a ball. No, I'm gonna live in a trapezoid because I have so many sides to my personality. Okay. Jesus Christ.
All I can think about when you're saying this is I identify as an H-64 Apache helicopter.
You can't label me male just because there's a penis attached to me somewhere. You can't do that. So God, you can't label me.
I actually had this conversation with my wife a while ago, and it's like I am the most open-minded individual ever. I love all religious people. I love all atheist people. As long as they're all nice and they just sit in their little boxes and do their thing, I don't mind. As long as they're not hurting people, right? When they start getting so religious and shit that they won't, give their kids medicine because they think God's going to save them when they have cancer and shit. Yeah, no, those people can go fuck themselves. But the rest of them, everybody, I'm super tolerant. But then I see this thing that kind of confused me. I'm like, a cat? The lady said she was a cat. She identifies as a feline. And she wasn't joking. It wasn't like a cosplay thing or a furry thing or a fetish. Just like, she's like, I'm a fucking cat. And people were defending why she's a fucking cat. What?
No, I'm laughing at this conversation because I'm like, this is why the world is fucked.
No, it is. And the funny thing was, it was like, I thought it was a joke because, okay, You can't get mad at me for thinking it was a joke. So this lady's fucking standing there, obviously being a human being, and she's like, "No, I'm a fucking cat. People need to treat me like a cat. I need to be able to go places where cats go and do things that cats do." And she was like really serious about it. And then there's all these professionals they're bringing in saying why we need to be sensitive to people that identify as cats.
Everything that's wrong with this world right now is due to the idea of sensitivity.
It's not just sensitivity; it's attention. People crave attention. We do. I mean, that's why we got into YouTube, right? I mean, people like.
That's not why I got into it.
Oh, fuck you! I know. You like the attention. But people.
Yeah, I love attention.
You do, and I do too. But humans in general, we crave attention, right? I mean, I think I'm safe to say that there isn't a lot of humans out there that are just like, fuck the world. I don't want anybody to talk to me. I just want to live in my little bucket. Unless they were like really fucked up from something and they have a reason. I think it's safe to say that that's an instinct, right? To love, want to be loved, and to love other people. But then you got these people that I think they just get so what's the word? It's like they just get starved of attention to the point where the only way that they can get attention is to basically create something that is so crazy people have to take note.
We need to call this the daycare generation.
The daycare generation is what it is. I mean,
dude, I would have been like, you know what? My cats were outdoor cats, so get the fuck out, bitch.
Okay, Jay doesn't handle things with the kid gloves like I do.
I don't, man. I wasn't handled with kid gloves.
That's true, man.
Look,
I had the shit beat out of me, and you probably did too. Did your dad ever beat the shit out of you when you got out of line?
My mom did.
Your mom, actually, okay, I'm going to be honest. My mom did most of the ass kicking. My dad every once in a while would step in to like kick me in the ribs one last time, but my mom, she initiated.
My mom was the one that put the fear of God into me. My mom was the one that if I fucked up in school, or excuse me, if I screwed up in school, for your dainty little ears, whoever didn't like hearing the F word in chat there. No, if I messed up in school, or I got a bad progress report, or I got in a fight or something, if I was in trouble, it was the fear of my mom that made me literally like hide and do everything. Look, I didn't live that far from school in high school. I lived, before I could drive, I don't know, probably 3 miles. It wasn't that bad, right? Now, if a kid has to walk 3 miles to school, the fucking CPS is called, the effing CPS is called because it's child abuse to make your kid have to walk to school. Anyway, I walked.
Called to come in and supervise the Child Protective Services to make sure they're doing everything right.
Yeah,
and not your privilege.
So every now and then, like my mom never picked me up from school, ever. She never picked me up from school. And every now and then I would see the car coming down the road. I was like, oh crap. Like if I knew it was progress report week, because they mailed them home. They didn't send them home with the kids. They knew better. They mailed them home. I would see the car coming. I would literally like hide in a bush or something until she went by. And then I would take like the super roundabout way home just to prolong the inevitable. Yep, because she was on the hunt. She wasn't like, oh, she was smart. She knew like, okay, he's hiding from me because I know this is the way he walks home. This is the most direct route. So then she would start going down all the side streets and everything trying to find me. And when she did, and she always did, she would find me. She would just pull up next to me and didn't say anything, didn't honk the horn. She just pulled up on the sidewalk next to me, was looking straight, 2 hands on the wheel, and a pissed off look on her face. And I just knew, get in the car or there was going to be a scene, right?
That is 100% psychological warfare, because if she yelled at you, you'd at least be able to have an idea of how mad she is, and she would have a little release. When she doesn't say anything, that's when you're like, you have no fucking idea. It's like the ultimate.
I know you can't see me on chat, so you're gonna have to watch this on the when it catches up. We'd park the car, get home. She would walk in the house first because she wasn't like, she was like, you know, you're gonna follow me.
Dude, right? I know your mom. I could totally see her being the authority in your upbringing.
Yeah, absolutely. She came from a law enforcement background too. So anyway,
yeah.
So I would just walk in behind her. She would sit down in her. She had a like a lazy boy. That was like her chair. Remember, there was like dads have the dad chair. No, my mom had the mom chair. It was like, that's my chair. So I'd sit down on the couch. I put down my bag, and she would sit there on the chair, and she would do this, and you'll see this on the replay. She would just sit there, and not say a word. She would just look at me like this and do this with her hand on her chair. She'd be like, and just stare at me. And then I would just having that like when a dog knows it's in trouble, right? And it kind of looks around like, okay, I'm in trouble. Every now and then I'd be like, just kind of look around, and then I was waiting for her to break the silence, and then I would say, or something. I would say something, right? Like, I'm sorry. And then she'd be like, shut up. You'll talk when I tell you can talk, right?
Yeah.
And then she wouldn't say anything again, and I'd just sit there and look all awkward. And she'd be like, so do you have anything to say for yourself? And I'm like, well, I would, shut up. I'm doing the talking. Okay, like that's how the arguments went. Like my mom, see, that's the problem. Kids today don't fear their parents because parents are disciplined by the system when they
Yeah.
discipline their kids. I mean, come on, you see these Facebook posts, right, of a parent that made their kid stand on the corner with a sign that was like, "I skipped school and now my dad's making me hold this sign." You know how many people defend those kids? Like, "Oh my God, that parent is being so insensitive to their kid's feelings and embarrassing them." It's like, no, this kid's learning a very important lesson today.
Yeah,
We need more parents like that.
we deal with the same shit though. No matter what you say, no matter how clear it is, no matter how much of a topic it is, where common sense applied is so easy, and there is no wiggle room for coming up with something else. You still get the group of people that come back and try to argue the point.
Yeah.
Like, your head's just about to explode. It's like anytime you talk about vaccinations, I'm sorry, vaccinations are scientifically proven. You need to give them to your fucking kids so your kids don't go to school and give all the other kids bumps, and then they all die. And then all the ones that aren't religious, they don't have a God, so where are they supposed to go to when they die? Right? So you need to be more
You and my wife would have an interesting conversation because she's on the opposite end of the spectrum. She's not of the vaccinations are bad. Vaccinations are bad. Our kids have been vaccinated. What she's against is forcing all the vaccinations at once when they're born, which
I
is
think that's bullshit. I will agree with you on that. I don't think we would argue any point on that, because realize I had a kid that was in the NICU for 3 months, right?
Yeah.
And seeing him like just look like a pincushion, because you get a shot in the arm, it's no big deal, right? But when you're a kid that's literally, he was 2 pounds, guys. He was this big.
Yeah. He fit in the palm of your hands. I saw the picture.
And his skin was so delicate that every time they gave him a shot, and the problem was some of the shots they had to do into the muscle tissue. So even though he had an IV line, the same line, had to do the shot, and they give him the shot, and his skin and muscle tissue was so weak that it would literally look like I took him out of the thing and just beat him against the wall like a rag doll. He was so black and blue from it.
Yeah.
Well, luckily they had him pumped up on morphine though, so he didn't feel a thing. Lucky kiddo. But still, no, I'd agree with her on that. I don't think that. But the thing is, babies aren't in constant contact with everything else at that age.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying vaccinate your kids when they're going to school and they're being in public areas and they're playing and spitting on stuff. And kids, when they're babies, they're in a little protected space, and you take them places and you handle them mostly. So I'm not really against that, but I'm just saying in the end, I don't get these people that try to make an argument against something that's scientifically proven, and then they make shit up, and then it needs 5 years of research to figure out that it was all bullshit the whole time. This is one topic I'm actually pretty passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, hey, I'll make you a deal. I will not be mad if you don't vaccinate your children, as long as you keep them in a goddamn bubble. Then that's fine.
Just keep away my kid.
As long as they don't have to go to a public area and cough around my kid and trade spit out on the playground, then we're good. But
the problem is, in my opinion, vaccination has become big farm, and it's huge business, and there's not so much research going into the vaccinations and the long-term effects of these versus just the cleanup they're getting from every baby that's born. It's like mandatory that on their first pediatrician visit, poke, cash in. So I think there needs to be more discussion on the long-term effects of these vaccinations.
Fair enough, but the thing is the vaccinations have already maybe not current vaccination. I think every vaccination needs to have more research done into it. But vaccinations as a whole, when they started, I mean, basically stop things like the bubonic plague and shit like that. You don't see that anymore. That's gone. we're hardened against it. You have, what's the other one that somebody just recently got? Was it mumps or some shit? What was there was one that like nobody's gotten in like 10 years because of vaccinations, and one anti-vaxxer kid ended up getting it, and they like put him into like major quarantine. Maybe somebody knows, and they can say over in chat. But I remember seeing it on the news. They had to like put him in quarantine because they're like, holy shit, like this is a disease that doesn't exist anymore. Mm-hmm. Like how could anybody possibly get this since everybody's vaccinated against it? But I will agree with you on this. I think big pharma is fucked up. I think the system's fucked up. I've been dealing with shit trying to get healthcare sorted out for the last couple of days. The healthcare system, insurance, all that shit is fucked up. I'm purely speaking from the scientific standpoint. The vaccinations as a whole are good and needed. I'm not speaking from the point of how the pharmacies are fucking you over and taking way too much money, and they're trying to push shit that you don't need. I'm sure that there's a half dozen vaccinations you really don't need. It was polio. That's what it was. It wasn't mumps. It was polio. Yeah, mumps is still fairly super.
Well, that's the thing though, is like a lot of these really weird exotic diseases have started popping back up because over the last like 5 to 7 years, people have started really pushing back on vaccines.
That's exactly it. We're starting to see the effect of it, and then the problem is, of course,
the disease didn't go anywhere.
No. No. That's just it. And it never will, right? Because viruses can thrive in other environments. They don't require us to live on. I mean,
Yeah.
you can freeze some viruses for thousands of years. They're talking about how they're worried about deforestation of the rainforest. Not because it's going to like fuck with the CO2 emissions of the planet, but because it's going to release a shitload of stuff that we've never dealt with.
Yeah.
Like that's a real problem. So that's why everybody's even Bill Gates, like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which arguably Microsoft's the biggest fucking gold digging company now on earth. But Bill Gates detached from that a long time ago. He's still technically on the board, but he could give a shit about that. He's given away 95% of his wealth. You know, the guy obviously wants to improve the world. And one of his biggest things that he's working on right now is engineering vaccinations before they're needed.
Who is this?
Bill Gates.
Oh, Bill Gates, yeah.
So Bill Gates, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which he's basically wanting them to focus a lot of money and a lot of research into basically predicting the vaccines that are required and starting the research for them now. And because this guy, he spends most of his time in South Africa watching people die from like a million different diseases that we're vaccinated against over here and don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. And just like anything, I think what's going to happen is, like you said, big pharma, not enough research, is going to end up giving validity to the stupid people that are saying that it's not scientifically proven. And then everybody's going to just shift to the other side of the boat. And it's like, that ain't any good either. So we got to find a middle ground. And I don't think that's happening. And that's what's really frustrating watching this all go down, is everybody always jumps to one side of the boat or the other. Nobody stands in the fucking middle where the boat, stays upright in the water and doesn't fall over and everybody drowns. Everybody's always running to the right or running to the left. Actually, that's a good one. I'm going to put that on a shirt.
That's a really long shirt if you actually use all those words.
It'll be a picture of a boat with left and right to each side, and then the boat slightly like going underwater. I think that'll
see.
Yeah, I don't know. My shirt isn't that good.
So I'm gonna change the topic here a little bit. One that I think it continues kind of like the moral discussion we're having here, but also brings it around to a little bit of tech. So
Xbox?
No.
Oh.
It's the subject of piracy.
Oh, I'm doing a video on this.
Okay. So according to Torrent Freak, I guess they would kind of know, 32% of all U.S. adults, remember we're talking U.S. here, so this is not a worldwide poll, 32% of all U.S. adults watch pirated content.
Yep.
So
do you watch pirated content?
I actually do not. I do not have a single piece of pirated software or content in this house.
See, I do watch pirated content, but I'll tell you why in my video. I'm not going to tell you here.
I'm curious as to what the audience says, because you know what? A lot of people's justification for pirating something is, well, I can't afford it, and it's too expensive.
Well, do you want to hear my story on why I think that it can be a good thing if done a certain way? But I don't agree. I don't agree that stealing intellectual property and taking money away from creators is a good thing. I can't in all rights believe that because of where I'm at. But there is a certain place where I will defend it. And you want to know where that is? Education.
I thought you were going to go with porn.
Well, porn too. I mean, those porn guys, they're making so much money. They don't care. No, I'll never stand for that argument either. No, I'll tell you what happened when I was a kid. And I think I touched on this slightly in my video that I did on my life growing up and how I learned all the technology and programming. When I was growing up and I got my first computer, it was this little 28612. I had a floppy drive on it. It was a 3 1/4. So I was like, ooh, man, at least I don't have the super floppy disks. And it was state of the art at the time. My grandparents had pulled some strings and got a hold of this thing for me. But all the software for it, when you went to like Software Etc. in the mall, you guys remember that?
Yeah.
Egghead software.
Egghead, and then don't forget there was also B. Dalton Books.
Yep, I remember that. And but the big one was Egghead. Egghead was like you went in and you were like, holy crap. Yeah. But you'd walk in there and it's like the games and stuff for the computer would be like $20 or $30, and I'd be
remember we're talking the 80s here, guys.
Yeah. This is back in the 80s, like 20, which would be the equivalent of now probably like $60 a game.
Yeah.
It would be too expensive. I couldn't afford them. I go home and I basically had this computer that was a paperweight that I couldn't do anything with. So I started calling up the bulletin board systems because I got a hold of this list.
The BBSs.
The internet, the bulletin board systems. So I started calling those up, and a bunch of them, back then piracy wasn't as mainstream of an idea. So it's like these BBSs just had like pirated shit just sitting around. Like it didn't seem nefarious in the slightest. And I was a kid. I was probably, when I got my 286, I think I was, I want to say 8 or 9 years old. So I started downloading these things, but this isn't the defense. I still don't think that people should just go and just like download games, hacked games, and play them and stuff because the creators need the revenue. But where I found piracy was a necessity was in education, because some people are poor. Like I grew up so dirt poor. I couldn't afford a compiler. I couldn't afford anything to do any craft 3D modeling, any of that stuff. So arguably, I downloaded the Borland products, like the Borland Turbo C++ and the Borland Pascal, and I downloaded those, and I got library books, and I used that software to learn how to program. And then once I learned how to program, I went and got a job. And then once I got a job and I got the money, then I could start buying compilers and start buying the products because I actually made something out of myself. But I never would have been able to do that because even at school, to go to school, which I didn't have any money to even go to school to learn, they would have required me to buy those software packages. And one of the compilers was like $2,500. And it was like, I think back then the educational version was like $700, but it might as well be 10 million because I didn't have the money. And so I would have just been another drywaller. I would have been just another manual laborer had it not been for piracy back then. But the thing that I'm very careful about right now is my decision to pirate something. And I process this in my head is, one, can I get this legally easily? Like, can I just pay money and just have it? Because if I can do that, that's the route I'm always going to go. Two, is the DRM so bad on it that there's no way it works unless you have the pirated version, like SimCity 2000 or whatever, and games like that, in which case I still buy a license, but I don't use the licensed version. I use the pirated version because they took all that shit out.
Yeah.
You're going to say something?
No, I'm listening.
Okay, so, and then the other thing is the educational software. I can afford all that stuff now, so I buy my compilers. I own my Visual Studio. I own my my creativity tools like Adobe Premiere, CC and stuff. I own all those things. But back then, I couldn't afford any of that stuff, but I still wanted to learn it so that I'd be an asset to somebody. But the trick is I didn't sell anything that I made with that when I grew up. I didn't create software and sell it to anybody. That I created using those tools, because that was the big thing back then. Is if you looked at piracy as a whole, the big thing that they focus on is you profiting from it or redistributing it. Those are the two major things that literally get the book thrown at you in court.
Well,
right?
when you look at the FBI messages now on movies, they, even if you don't redistribute it, just copying it is the offense.
5 years and $200,000 fine. But if you ever actually stuck.
I wonder if a lot of that's a scare tactic. I mean, like, okay, so, I've had plenty of pirated music and movies and software in the past. Yeah. As I became more and more recognized and legit, like on YouTube, I slowly got rid of everything that was pirated. My first probably 100 videos were created on a like a pirated version of Sony, right? Sony Vegas. I think everyone uses a pirated Sony Vegas at this point. It's probably why the software still sucks. They're not making any money on the damn thing. But then I moved over to the Creative Cloud, and I've been using that ever since. All my software, all my plugins, all that stuff's legit, because I got to the point to where I look at, probably like you said in the beginning of this conversation, it would be incredibly hypocritical for me to make a living creating content on pirated software that when somebody copies my shit, I go after them and flag it.
Yeah, and that's not fair, and that's like literally what clicked in the moment that all clicked in my head was when I started working for Microsoft and realized, wait, I work for a company that makes their money to pay me from selling software. So if I'm just taking software, and that's the one thing I haven't pirated anything of. I don't have a single piece of pirated software unless you count some of the obscure ROMs that I have for emulators, like really old like Nintendo games and stuff for like MAME and things like that, which technically are still piracy, but those are things that I can't otherwise obtain without going through a very specific platform or a very specific DRM model. And the other thing is I've had movies that I've downloaded before, and this pisses me off like the no ends. I download a movie on a platform, and then that platform either deprecates or goes away, or they change something. And now when I try to play the video, it says that I can't play it anymore, or the video's not there. Then I'm like, fuck you. I already bought that video once. I'm not going to buy that video in 75 different places.
Right.
Not. So I'll buy a video on one of the platforms like Xbox Live, but if I want to watch it on the computer, I'm going to go just grab another copy of it or find a way to copy the version that I already had, because I'm not going to have 50 different versions of the same movie just so I can play one on my Nintendo Wii and one on my Xbox. I'm the one watching it. I'm the one consuming it. And that's why I believe that. But again, that can be viewed as piracy because technically they're locking it down to that platform. So those are kind of just a few of the exceptions that I make, but I always try to legally obtain one copy in some form or another. So if it's software, even if I use the pirated version, I have a license for the regular version. And that way, if there's ever kind of a problem or anything like that in court, I can bring it up and say that. But I don't just do it because of the legal obligation. I do it because I realize that if everybody steals a piece of software, the company that made it dies. And that means that they can't create the next the good piece of software. Like if Grand Theft Auto just got pirated 99% of the time, which it can't because they put a fucking DRM system on it that makes me want to blow my brains out every time I want to play it. But if they didn't have that system in place, they wouldn't be able to produce those games.
That's what I was just going to say. It's a double-edged sword. It really is. They have to because, I mean, they know this stuff's being pirated. They also know the people that are out there cracking this stuff is just as smart or smarter than the companies creating it because there's so many more brains and eyes and hackers looking at this than there is in their dev team. But let's play devil's advocate a little bit here then, okay? Emulators. Should that be treated like piracy?
Technically, by the letter of the law, it is piracy, and
because there's intellectual property involved.
Yep, and even though I do it, I'm not even gonna play devil's advocate. I'll say it's wrong for me to do it, but I just haven't found another way.
I've never used, created, or even touched any sort of emulator ever. I've just never had the desire to. I mean, I looked at it as, dude, that'd be cool to be able to have like every NES game ever, right? Yeah. In a little tablet or whatever. I do.
Nintendo DS somewhere in this house, I think, that has every original NES game on it, and I haven't seen it in like 2 years, but it exists somewhere.
But then Nintendo was extremely smart, and it came out with the classic, and then everyone wanted it. And look what happened this Christmas! It's insane, right?
And then the thing is, those ROMs are back. Those were all like dinosaurs. Nobody was selling them, and that's why I obtained them that way. Now there's a way to legally obtain them, but then the clincher is, you can only have 30 games on the Nintendo Classic. They're hard coded into there. What do you do, right? I mean, if you want, now you got to switch platforms. You got to go, okay, I got to play these games on this one, and then these ones over on my little homebrew system that's still arguably illegal. What I would really love companies to do, and the problem is it would work on an honor system, so nobody would ever do it, and I don't blame them for not doing it, is they should allow you to buy a license for the content, not the physical content, just for the right to have the content. And once you buy that license, how you obtain that content, how you have that content, how you distribute that content across your own devices is completely in your hands.
Yeah.
I wish that they would do that, because then if I had an emulator, I would be like, you know what? I don't need the whole library of 3,000 games. The only reason I have the library is because whatever I downloaded had the whole package in it. I only play these 40 games. I'm just going to go to Nintendo and pay them their $2 or $3 or whatever for the rights to use each one of those legacy ROMs. Once I have that, it doesn't matter what I play it on. I can put it on my computer. I can put it on my Casio watch. I can put it on my old Game Boy. It doesn't matter at that point. But the companies, unfortunately, to combat piracy, playing devil's advocate myself, because one, let's say 3 out of 4 copies is pirated. That's probably an insane estimate on some things, but let's say 3 out of 4 copies are pirated. Well, now they need to make up for the loss of those 3, and the way that they do that is by punishing the people that legally obtain things. I feel like
such a top button kind of guy that I don't have anything that's bootleg or pirated or emulated or anything.
And my hat's off to you on that. I don't have any software that's pirated. The music that I have is from the royalty-free library, and I listen to Spotify. But again, I think Spotify's library is questionable. No. Like, even though I'm listening through Spotify, I'm pretty sure a lot of that music out there doesn't have the legitimate rights and everything. Because it's like, how am I playing Metallica for free on Spotify? Like, we know those guys are money grubbers, and they would never go for that.
Real quick, guys, yes, we are getting your donations. We've just started implementing where we spend just like the last half hour going over them, that we were not.
It's just easier. We'll get to everybody's donations. We just do it at the end.
But making it at that $20 amount has made it certainly manageable. That's for sure.
I broke the rule on that earlier. It was just I've never had a $200 donation before, so I was just like shocked by that. I was like, holy shit. And it was something I've actually done before, and a question I could answer, which is rare on this show. Okay. Oh, hold on. Let's try really hard though. Are you 100% positive that you do not have a single piece of pirated content, even something that you might not consider pirated that could be pirated?
Absolutely positive. I am 100% the gatekeeper of everything electronic in this house.
That's pretty awesome, actually. My hat's off to you, because the one
it's not like an intentional conscious decision. It's just, like I said, as my prospects and my life increased and became better over the last, let's say, probably the last 6 or 7 years. Because I mean, I worked in IT. I had healthy income before this. I wasn't rich by any means, but healthy income. If I could afford to buy it, I bought it. If I couldn't, I didn't. I didn't look for ways to get it.
And the truth is, piracy is actually largely a risk. It's like STDs. 9 out of 10 things you download that are pirated, even from the most trusted of sites, have some kind of malware, some kind of backdoor.
I also, when I used to do that, I used like LimeWire and FrostWire, right?
They're both toxic platforms.
Exactly. That was one of the reasons why I just never had any desire to do anything cracked, because it's nearly impossible to get anything cracked that's not infected in some way.
Yeah, in the experience too, the thing that I found too is when I buy my software and I buy my music and everything, I don't know what it is, but I enjoy it more. I don't see it as just this disposable thing I just pick up like a pull tab and throw in the garbage. It's weird to feel that way about something that's kind of intangible, but it is. When I pay for it, I like it more. I enjoy it more. And I'm more focused on what I get. I don't just download everything. Like back in the Wares, the Wares days, everybody was just downloading everything.
Look, let me show you guys. Let me show you guys how dedicated I am to the whole pirated thing. Do you see this? Do you see this? I have legit retail copies of Windows 10 right here, because I won't even like pirate that. I won't even reuse the key for that. So I don't know. It's just a thing with me, I guess.
No, and the thing is, being professionals too. I mean, that's something that we have to also be conscious of. But let me ask you this: when you were younger, did you pirate like crazy, or when you didn't have money, did you pirate like crazy?
The only thing I think I ever like pirated was music, because I couldn't afford $1.99 or $1.99 a track, right?
So, but again, motivated by money, though, right? The fact that you didn't.
It was always motivated by money. Yeah, it wasn't a moral standing of like it was theft. It was I can't afford this, but I really want this. But that was a much younger me. Like I said, ever since I've entered my 30s, like I'm 35 and a half now. I've not stolen or pirated any piece of intellectual property whatsoever. I mean, like I said, just when I was building my test rigs and stuff, I was like, I need Windows on these machines, so I went and bought it. I bought them. And it's funny that every now and then, I keep dropping my SD cards. I'm playing with my SD cards here. Every now and then, people will point out like, Jay, you need to activate your Windows because it says activate Windows on there. And people are like, ooh, Jay's using a non-legit copy. No, what you guys don't realize is every time I switch a graphics card or I switch a hard drive or I switch a processor, Windows is constantly like, oh my God, activate, reactivate. Then I got to get on the phone and I got to like go through all that. And it sucks. So I just like on the test bench, I just leave the whole like activate me thing on there. What's the thing I don't get? Updates. I'm okay with that because they keep breaking shit.
It's true. No, and Microsoft has been incredibly aggressive because Microsoft Windows is the most pirated piece of software on the planet. We used to have talks when I worked on the Redmond campus where they would bring us in.
Real quick, Liz TV on chat says you paid for WinRAR. Smiley face.
What's funny is I just unRAR'd something earlier and it popped up and it said your 28 days are up. You better register this shit. And I'm like, nah.
I actually have a legit copy too of Ada64 Engineer. It just expired though. That's why the last like benchmark I did, I showed the trial version. I need to renew that too.
Yeah, and that's quite different too. If you're using shareware that isn't crippled, it's just putting some kind of watermark on it. If you don't, then it's up to you if you want to support it or not.
If the dev allows me to use this with a thing that says trial, then if it doesn't expire, it just keeps working. That's on the dev. But I didn't go out of my way to circumvent an activation process.
Well, it's like Microsoft, and this is why a lot of people opt not to cripple the software completely. They do cripple it to an extent, but they don't cripple it completely. And the reason being is back when Microsoft, I think it was Windows XP, that had the product activation code. No, it wasn't XP. Sorry, because XP required the code beforehand. It wasn't Vista. Windows 7's too new. It might have been Windows Vista actually. When you installed it, you could actually say, I want to put in a product key later. Mm-hmm. And it would boot up, and then after 30 days, it would cripple the entire operating system. You couldn't even log in. It was just ganked. And the problem with that is people would see the message and it's like, oh, you need to register Windows within 28 days. You need to register. And they just keep going on. Nah. But then when they got to the point where the whole system was crippled, they had no mechanism to really fix it.
Right.
Like the shit was already bonked. They couldn't log in. They couldn't go into their browser. They couldn't go buy a key. They had to use another computer to do it or make phone calls to do it. And then people would just get enraged, and then they would go out and get the pirated version that had all that shit stripped out of it. And Microsoft realized that, and a lot of companies realized that it's better to cripple it, because then what happens is it's still usable. It's still very usable, but it's less able to help you in a retail setting. Like, for instance, if you're trying to sell your content, it's going to have a watermark on it. If you're trying to create really long videos, maybe in video editing software, you can only do a 10-minute video instead of a 6-hour video. Those are things that are going to make you say, you know what, I probably should buy a license for this because it's going to give me everything that I need back. Everything's already set up. Everything's already there. It's a good motivator.
I'm laughing because I've been listening to everything you're saying, but I've been kind of multitasking in my brain. I'm trying to figure out. We're totally different subject here. I apologize, but I was listening to you. I'm trying to figure out why the bit rate fluctuates so much. Now I understand how bit rate works. I do, mm-hmm. But I also know that like YouTube over here is like, your bit rate's way too low. We should be getting 3,000 kilobit per second, but you're only sending us 700. And I'm going, well, I know that that's because only so much on my screen is changing, right? All the pixels on here that aren't changing, like the logo and all that, it's not re-encoding that. It's just kind of carrying over. The only thing it's re-encoding is whenever like the screen moves. So I was doing a little test. I was waving my arms like frantically to see if I could make the bit rate go up. And as I did, the bit rate kept going up and up and up, which I was like, oh, okay. So I was doing science while you were talking.
Are you doing you're doing variable bit rate, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. If you do continuous bit rate, you wouldn't have those problems, and the video would probably be more crisper overall. But yeah, on variable bit rate, yeah, if shit isn't changing, it just encodes it less.
Well, here,
and
I'll switch it right now live while we're going. Because that's the cool thing about OBS is I can switch that shit while we're going.
That's actually
Excuse me, I can switch that stuff.
That stuff. Don't offend anybody.
God, I wouldn't want to offend anybody.
But back on the topic.
Oh no, wait, no, I am on use CBR.
On CBR, you shouldn't be changing.
Yeah, I know it's changing.
Because CBR is continuous bit rate. It's supposed to be, even if it's a black screen, you're still sending.
It's constant bit rate, sir, not continuous.
Oh, is it constant?
It's called constant bit rate. Yeah, not continuous. Dork.
Sorry,
yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. So right now, right now it's only sending up 763 KB, 88, 96, 88. Okay, if I start waving my hands, Jerry, start waving your arms. Go. Wave. We look really stupid right now. Yeah, I went all the way up to 1,000 when I did that. So I kind of feel like when you moved, the kilobit went up higher than I did when I moved.
Hobbs is doing a good job in chat tonight.
That just went right over top of your head, man.
Oh, it didn't?
I made a fat joke because I love you. I said I felt like the bit rate went up higher when you moved than when I moved. I'm sorry, I did not take your feelings into account. Do you identify as an overweight person, or do you identify as a dog?
I identify as a skinny Hispanic woman.
Then it's true if it's true in your mind. Now you just have to find the skinny Hispanic woman bathroom.
Oh, no, I take it back. I identify as attack.
As a what?
Attack helicopter.
Oh, that's right. An Apache 64.
That's
Age 64.
Yeah, there's a T-shirt too. It's got a picture of the helicopter. It's like, I identify as an attack helicopter.
Yeah.
So anyways,
where's Terry Crews? Probably off doing Terry Crews shit.
Probably. So where we stand on piracy right now, piracy isn't a good thing because that's for content creators. But there is, I'm going to say there is a gray area for certain things. If you are poor and could never afford the thing in the first place, and there is some kind of value to you personally, not in distributing it and selling it and shit like that, but educationally, I would say just from a moral standpoint, I would allow it personally. That's something I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for being able to access shit that I never had any right to. And I know that sounds really bad, but it's true. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I would not have been an employee at Microsoft. I wouldn't have spent 15 years building their software if I hadn't have been so well versed into it from pirating it back when I had absolutely no money.
What?
I see your raptor claw now.
I was doing pirate. I was going, arr.
Oh, were you? I didn't sound so. It looked like raptor claw.
Someone in chat was like, change your iframe to 1 and you won't have those problems. Like, what the hell is an iframe? There's no iframe setting in OBS. This ain't Apple.
I think there is under advanced though in the encoder, the keyframe, basically.
Keyframe is set to 1.
Is it? Okay, well, he's talking about. But honestly, if you have the money to buy things, you should software. You should absolutely buy it. There's no reason for you not to buy it. It supports the people you want. It gets you the support that you need. It gets you access to updates and shit. And above all, it keeps you virus free. Because every single time I go to somebody's house, a member of my family or a friend or whatever, they're like, hey, can you look at my wife's laptop or whatever? And I open it up, and every single time there are 1,000 fucking malware things everywhere. And what do I always find? Either uTorrent or LimeWire.
Yeah.
Or something on there. And it's like, that's why people are giving you tons of bandwidth and giving you free software, because they're hoping that you're going to be dumb enough to just let shit on your system.
I got a real quick funny story here when I help someone recover their PC, and then we got to get into donations here.
All right.
Because it's 6 o'clock, sir. Okay. So we had a friend once that I did family portraits for, like back when I was like, I'm going to do photography. Like this was way before YouTube, right? And so they freaked out because their computer like crashed or whatever, and they thought they lost like an archive of like thousands of family photos and stuff that they had on there. So I went over to their house and they asked me, they're like, if we cook you dinner, can you come over and take a look at the PC? I was like, yeah, fine. I guess we can do that. Right? Because that's the thing. If you have an IT friend that's ever come over and fixed your computer and you didn't at least make them dinner or give them food or something, that's a dickhead move, because they saved you hundreds of dollars, by the way. Because usually the home Like the going hourly rate for a home call is like $200 guaranteed, like just to come for that first hour, and it's usually like anywhere between 100 to 150 an hour after that. So yeah, and if you take advantage of your tech friends and you don't give them something, you're a dickhead. Anyway, moving forward. But I think most people in this chat don't need to call people to get help anyway, probably. So you guys aren't dickheads.
I don't know. They watch your shit, so.
Well, it's because they're into the dick holes. It's different dick altogether.
Gotcha.
So anyway, I ended up recovering their stuff pretty easily. It wasn't that hard, but I recovered way more than they thought I was going to be able to recover.
Yeah, I've done it too. Yep.
It was kind of like, wow. I don't want to say your name, but I was like, kind of like, wow, you're way more flexible than I thought you were. I know, right?
I worked at Mothersboard Computers, and we'd get the pictures. People just have their wallpaper and shit set to like them naked, and I'm like, fuck, they do it on purpose too. But yeah, no, there's times where we'd get a computer in, and not even for data recovery, just Windows won't boot. And then you get it booting, and all of a sudden there's the folder.
Yeah,
on
the folder.
And you're like,
don't name it private.
Yeah, don't name it. Don't click here, because we will absolutely click there.
Okay, let me go and kick this off because I think I only have like 6 or something like that.
Oh, hey, one second, just before you do that though, my neighbor who doesn't live here anymore, and he would be watching the live stream anyways. He's way too old. Really old Muslim guy, really awesome. I mean, really great neighbor. Really just kind of kept to himself. His computer.
We get it. You don't want to offend the Muslims. Come on, got it.
No, I don't want to offend him if he's watching. But this might. Anyways, I did a full recovery of the hard drive over like 2 days because the hard drive was like clunking and shit. I recovered it, and I went in and looked at the internet cache.
Oh no!
Oh my!
Why would you even go there? Why did it matter?
Oh my God! No, let's just say that some of it wasn't even human.
Well, I'm sorry, but like camels came to mind like immediately for me.
Maybe, yeah, but no, it was he was into some pretty.
I got tickets to a donkey show in Mexico if you're free next Saturday.
Technically, nothing that I saw on there was illegal, though. But it was one of those things where it's like, you think you know your neighbors, you don't know your neighbors. You don't know them.
Like I said, I got free tickets to a donkey show in Mexico. All right, so on that note,
I want to go.
Solo Clay Dog 95 says, "Keep up the good work. What would you get a MSI Stealth Pro or Origin PC Evo 15S? Each is the same size spec wise. Dude, okay, so I have the MSI Stealth Pro right now. I think in my vlog, I talked about having a skinnier version of this Titan. It's downstairs. It's still in the box. I want to do the review of the Titan first, but I have the MSI Stealth Pro. I love the form factor of that thing. It's super light. It's thin. The ladies like ribbed for their pleasure. No, that's a whole different conversation. Anyway, I got it specifically because the wife needed a laptop that I wanted her to be able to play some games. She likes to be able to do some little like games every now and then, but most of the things people were willing to like send over are like big behemoths like this MSI Titan over here. But the form factor, it's so light. I love that laptop. I like it more. I'm more intrigued with the Stealth Pro than I am with the Titan. And we'll talk about that in the reviews. So I would probably go with the MSI Stealth over the Origin PC Evo 15. Also, too, the Stealth Pro, I believe, is a 17-inch. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the Evo 15 is a 15-inch. So you have to ask yourself if you want a 17 or 15. So MB67 says, here's 25 from the old Gen Xer, born in 67. Thank you, sir.
I said old school.
I told you I've captured, man. I've captured them old spirits. I've captured them because I relate. My wife would tell you I'm more of an old spirit than a young guy, even when I was young, because I like oldies. I like 50s music, 60s music. I'm not into like anything anyone that's like 35 is into. Okay, so Ryan, I won't say his last name one because I can't pronounce it.
Good enough reason.
Okay, you know it's an interesting name when even like the Word doc has a red squiggly line under his name because names and pronouns are usually in there.
Right.
So, keep good work, guys. Maybe he typoed his own name. I don't know. Just want to say I love your channels and I'm a sub for life. Side note. Do you have a recommendation on an amp DAC combo for the DT990 600 ohm version? Thank you. Dude, the Mayflower Electronics, man, it's a hell of a DAC for a really affordable price. Was it like $200?
Yeah, and the O2, a little over 200, but it's the O2 and the amp, the DAC and the amp together. It is. Yep. We'll put it this way. I gave $1,000 tube amp, a Woo Audio WA7 Fireflies, which is an audiophile grade headphone amp. I gave it to my friend because I was actually getting cleaner and higher power out of the O2.
And it's USB.
Yep.
And not to mention the O2, the Mayflower O2 has 0 decibel noise floor.
Oh, it also has an AC amp too. Like it looks like you're plugging in a DC adapter, but it's not. It's actually an AC
Yeah.
transfer.
I said 0 decibel noise floor. What I meant to say was the noise floor that's a really loud noise floor. I just want to say the noise floor is non-existent. How about that? It's very, very low.
Yeah, you can crank it to 100%, and even on the most sensitive.
There's no hiss.
Any hiss or nothing. It sounds like it's not even.
That's what I was trying to say. Now we know why I don't do headphone reviews anymore.
Neither do I, apparently.
No, I specifically have turned down all the headphone reviews because I'm like, you know what? Them audiophile people, yeah, them guys, I cannot make them happy. Okay, so Cuddy2287 says, wanted to show some support because I haven't in a while, but I have a question. When you SLI, is it more stable to have both cards at the same overclock, or should you just put the higher overclocker as the master? Thank you once again for all the help. I really appreciate it. Oh, and Jerry, I hope you kicked 2017's ass. We're all rooting for you.
Thank you.
So I've played around with this a bit. Unless the overclocks are drastically far apart, like you have one that's just a dud and won't overclock at all, and you've got one that's like, I'll go 20% overclock, you're not going to notice much of a difference. So what I typically do with my SLI configs is I set both cards to the lowest overclock of the two. That's what I do. You typically aren't going to see any sort of difference
From a software developer standpoint, though, having a faster core, the only operation where they're both going to slow down is where one is waiting on the other, like the multi-threaded stuff.
Yeah.
So if you have an SLI scenario, and well, actually, in SLI, doesn't one card produce one frame while the other one's producing?
No, that's an alternate frame rate. There's 4 modes of SLI, but most do not work that way.
Okay, because if there's any wait state between the two cards to generate the frame, then having one with a significantly higher clock rate, it's just going to pull it down to the lowest common denominator.
The way they kind of work now is they sort of worked on like an interlacing of the screen where each card handles like every other like line of this data going across the screen. So they're in tandem.
Okay, so as long as it's not purely sequential and it doesn't have to wait for one line to another line to another line to another line, you probably benefit from the one card being faster. But if they're dependent on each other, it'll just drag it down to the lowest common denominator. Used to do this in multi-programming for CPUs too. It didn't matter if you had one CPU that was faster than the other. If you have a blocking call that prevents the other CPU from going until this one releases it, you end up with the overhead ends up defeating whatever gain you had.
Yeah, I've played around with this quite a bit. Even when EVGA, when they were in my office a while back, we were playing around with the different SLI settings. We were trying to figure out why I was getting massive frame reduction during SLI when X99 first launched, and we found out we had to manually set it to Gen 3. It wasn't auto setting to Gen 3. We tried those different settings. It's amazing. Believe it or not, when you go alternate frame rate like that, it's way slower, way slower, especially in the higher resolutions, because you still, like you said, are having to wait on one card to render all of that buffer data.
And that's wasted time. Yeah.
Yeah. So the way it works now, though, is like I think it's like I don't know how many like grids there are on the screen, but each card takes a portion of the screen's responsibility.
That makes more sense. But for compute stuff, it's well worth it. So depending on what you're doing.
Yeah. For gaming, I've played around with having the card until the cards end up getting very spread out in terms of their speed. It was pretty negligible. So I ended up just making them both whatever the lowest setting is, one for temperatures and power draw. Damon Boyce says, any recommendations for a camera for YouTube sub 1000? I was looking at the Sony RX100, but not sure it would be the best use of my money.
You're watching me on an RX100 right now, although the compression and shit makes it look like garbage. But the RX100 probably has the best video quality I've seen of any point and shoot small platform that I've ever used. But it does have an Achilles heel, and that is the 4K version of it can only record for 5 minutes at a time, which honestly isn't that big of a deal if you're making proper videos where you're cutting between scenes and everything, but it can get annoying if you're trying to record like really long vlog content. So you're probably going to be recording everything at 1080p, which is fine too. So
yeah. I don't really have a recommendation, to be honest with you, at that particular price point. Gosh.
But well, how about this? The RX100, the utility of it. If you look at don't just look at the quality, look at the utility of it. It has a good built-in microphone, crystal clear image quality, good low light performance, like in its class. You can use it as a vlogging camera because it has the screen that flips around. It can be tripod mounted, and it can be run off an external battery pack, so you can pretty much run it forever, very, very cheaply. And it has an uncompressed HDMI out, so you can run it into a capture card just like I'm doing now and use it as a really high-end webcam. So you're getting all of that.
Does have DC power too, right?
Yes, yeah, you can
Okay,
DC
that's the
power
most important part for a YouTuber,
Yep.
in my opinion.
And not only that, you can charge it DC power from their proprietary cable, or you can just go straight over USB and power the entire camera off USB.
Okay, very
So
cool.
no, it's a great camera for a YouTuber because it's so versatile, and because it's so small, you can stick it on your dashboard, you can stick it on the seat. It's a good platform. Now, the reason why I have the bigger cameras like the FDR AX33 and the 53 is because they have the optically stabilized lens in them and the ability to have an external microphone, and those are big
Right.
deals. But for somebody who you're just creating YouTube videos, if you're in close proximity to the camera, the audio will be fine. But if you do need better audio, then look into getting an external audio recorder and sync the stuff up in post. That's what most people do.
Yeah, I mean, I that would be much more simple than obviously going the route I did, getting the big expensive cameras and stuff. I need to get me a small. What?
I said, or spend $10,000 to get an FS5 and Zoom H5N and
Well,
a really
the Zoom became useless when I got the FS5 because it's XLR. But
that's true. And the audio mechanism for auto level on that
dude,
thing.
I use auto on all the audio, and that thing is amazing.
So jealous of that.
Well, the rig's not 10 grand. It's more like 7,500 with all the attachments and stuff and the lens and whatnot on it. But yeah, but I had to spend money as a business. So, I know another one is the, is it Sony 6300? I think is another one, and that might be around that price point. It's also 4K capable. I'm not sure. Maybe it's a little more, but, geez, why am I losing my voice here suddenly?
The 6300, I think last time I looked at it was actually over 1,000, but no, they're fantastic. I know somebody who has one.
But the problem with both of those cameras is battery life sucks. It's 1,000? Yeah.
Yep, 1,000
Battery life sucks, and I've personally seen the 6300 will overheat if you record in 4K for anything longer than like 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, and that's the problem with all the Sony cameras until you get into the larger cameras that can dissipate the heat, and that's another reason why I got the FS. The 3 and the 33, but
Dude,
you're dealing with a larger platform, right? So
yeah, my FS5 has a freaking active cooling system. It's got a fan and heat sink and everything. It actually has a fan that turns on when you turn on the camera.
Oh, and it needs it too because that
Yeah.
that's 4K 60, right?
No, 4K 30.
Oh, it does 4K 30.
4K 60. I need it. It has 4K 60 over HDMI if the recorder can do it, but it needs an external recorder to take advantage of it.
Yeah, and I couldn't find a single capture card that could do that for under like $3,000. So
Yeah.
even for using it for like a webcam, it wouldn't work.
Let's see. Lane House says, when water cooling GPU, would you see a difference between an Asus Strix 1070 or an EVGA ACX 3.0 SC? The temperatures are usually going to be about the same whenever if you go with like the same block. So if you put an EK block in either one of those, you'd end up getting around the same temps. I've seen the 1070s and 1080s on water hover around 38 to 40 C if overclocked, and like mid 30s, like 35, 34 if running stock speeds. They're super cool. My Titans run like up to 50 C though on water because they're overclocked to 2050 also. See, Clint Flippo. I wonder if that's his real name. Flippo. That's a heck of a name. Why, whenever I donate, does it repeat what I type? It will be obvious what I'm talking about, or I'll look really dumb. I'm on a gaming.youtube. Also, you guys rock. I have no idea, man. We have no control over the donation thing and the way it works, honestly. And they're changing all that at the end of the month anyway. They're not even going to be called donations or fan funding anymore. And you guys will be able to pin your comments according to the chat, which it kind of does now anyway, which I think is really strange. So I don't know what the difference is going to be.
The difference is they're going to take a cut and call it something else.
Yeah, I mean, like right now it's pinned, right? The latest one is pinned, so I don't know what the difference is. Just give me a better way to be able to track it and keep it. I mean, I feel bad that we have to have someone like Hobbs go in here and literally copy and paste all of them and hope we don't miss them. But every now and then Hobbs will miss one, or the donation system just won't even display it, and then they think we're just like being dickholes and not responding to them.
That's why I'm going to start streaming over on Twitch. I just got partnered over there. They have an API that you can, there's a million scripts for it on GitHub that you can get that will keep track of donators, even in different buckets, do different little things in chat and everything. It's much better experience for people that are actually like participating and donating.
Let's see. Jared Zarnikow says, "Hey Jay, donating to you since I haven't in a while, and since Jerry is rich now, lol. I used to pirate music all the time, but since they have been cracking down on piracy, I started buying all of mine. Love all the content, buddy. Keep it up, and I love you too, Jerry. Have a nice day, you too."
Oh, thank you.
I'll be honest. The cracking down thing on it was never a deterrent to me, but.
No, and the thing is, it's like I even had like a couple of years ago. I got a call from my ISP and they were like, "Oh, we detected you downloaded some movie." or whatever, and it was actually my freaking neighbor downloaded.
Oh, it was on your Wi-Fi.
And
Yeah.
well, my Wi-Fi was just wide open. I didn't care back then. Nobody cared about security back then. It was a while ago, and so I had to open. They're like, "Oh, Bucks Life," and I was like, "Okay, well." I looked around my network and I don't see it on anything, so I think we're good. And they're like, "All right, we'll turn it back on." It's like, I mean, it's like they didn't say they were sending the attack helicopters, unless you're.
You told me some pretty interesting stories, though, and I won't get into it. But you told me some pretty interesting stories between you and your ISP cutting you off.
Yeah. I've actually, me and my ISP have a very awesome relationship over the years, doing some things, some not so good. But the gist of it though is, unless you are actually distributing, you're like one of those hubs and you're distributing it publicly. It's not worth them to come after you. I mean, for them to sue you and to make an example of you and everything. And I know they've done this to like a very few number of people, but as I understand it, all of them beat it in court because it's considered harassment on some level. But it's like, it's really hard for them to prove that you were the one that downloaded it when you're in a house with a ton of computers and a ton of people and a network that isn't considered 100% secure. They're not going to go after you unless you're doing enough damage that they can justify it. And the big part about it is when you distribute it. You know, it's just like drug dealing, right? How many people do you think get busted and thrown in jail for 20 years because they got caught with like a joint or something on them? But the dude that's selling
in Washington and California now, none.
No, but I'm talking about heroin, black tar heroin. But
Yeah.
if they keep you on the side of the street and you're high as a kite, they're going to take you down and throw you in the drunk tank, talk to you for a while and let you go and charge you a fine.
Yeah.
It's because it's not worth it for them. They want to fix the bigger problem. They don't want to just make an example of one person.
Right. Okay. Marcus Spaz.
What's
up, Spaz? See, I don't know. It's an 80s kid thing, right?
So, yeah.
Spaz was a slang term that used to be like, we would call someone who was crazy, like, you spaz. That's like way back, man, 80s. All right.
It's a touchy term in this house too, mainly because, I have an autistic son and spastic is a derivative word of it.
Yeah.
And that's a very offensive word. But I'm one of those people where it's like, it's more about the context in which a word is used than what the word is itself.
Hey guys, love Tech Talk. What is your opinion on the best GPU setup around 1500 or less for an Acer Predator X34, single Titan XP, two-way 1080, or wait for 1080 Ti, not knowing? So 1080 Ti, I mean, again, the speculation is that NVIDIA is hanging on to the idea of the 1080 Ti or whatever they might rename it to because it's been so long since they launched the 10 series now for Vega. I think everyone thinks they're waiting for Vega because if they're beating the 1080 with Vega, which is some of the demos look like, then the 1080 Ti could come out and beat Vega, So they still consider the 1080 as their flagship gaming card. They still don't call their Titan card a gaming card, even though it's a GTX Titan, which is their gaming line. But I digress. We think they're waiting for Vega. Now we know Vega is supposed to be between now and Q2, which could be all the way till May 31st. Or May 30th, whatever. I don't know if it's a 31 or 30 day. Doesn't matter. So I would say two 1080s if you want to know the truth, between that and a single Titan XP, if you can manage the heat. Because 3440 by 1440 pixels is a lot of pixels to run, and you have a 100 hertz panel with the Predators, you want 100 FPS or more. And then enable that G-Sync for that buttery smooth gaming.
It does depend on the game. Also, you're going to find scenarios where the Titan's faster. You're going to find scenarios where the SLI 1080s are faster, just depending on how SLI was pushed. Basically,
I've found on the 10 series systems, since I've gotten to play with them so much now, that any AAA titles can be faster with SLI 1080s than a single Titan. But there are situations where, like Jerry said, if the developer, especially start playing like AA or single A titles or indie for that matter, then SLI is going to be kind of pointless.
SLI has gotten better, though. I would say, like a year or two ago, I would have been, if you can get a single card that's similar performance, go the single card.
Right. Let's see. Aaron Marcus says, "Hey Jay, what is the max voltage you would recommend on a Z97 and a 4690K? Also, have you ever thought about doing a video on offset overclocking?" 1.35 volts is what I would max recommend on any air or water. You're probably going to have more manageable temps on water than air at that voltage. That's a safe 24/7. You could go all the way up to 1.4 if you want to find max like overclocking, but I wouldn't go any farther than that, especially if you're on air. Offset overclocking, I'm not sure what you're referring to on that. Are you talking
a bus overclock instead of a multiplier,
like a B clock, like a base clock?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I've considered it. In fact, my very first AMD overclocking video I ever did was entirely an offset overclock.
You know what the problem is with offset overclocking, though, and
it affects everything.
Yeah, that's just it. I'm not an authority on this since I haven't done it in a while. But when I did it last time, I even upped it just to 110 when 100 was norm, and that was enough to completely fuck with my sound card, make it make chirping noises and shit. I had random crashes because one of the other devices that I had in there, the driver was just like, get out of sync.
Well,
and fuck.
It affects the PCI Express speeds. It affects memory speeds. It affects chipset. It affects everything. But a lot of the overclocking motherboards now are able to like kind of segregate those particular devices to where you can play around with the B clock, but then you can actually go in and readjust those other components so that they're back to where they should be.
Oh, so in that case, I think that's awesome. Like, but
what I found there to be very little benefit in terms of speed. Of a 4.6 with an adjusted B clock is just as fast as 4.6 with an adjusted multiplier. The difference is sometimes the CPU will respond better to a mixture of the two, like a B clock and a multiplier overclock, or sometimes even just a B clock overclock versus the multiplier. But there's a lot of tweaking, and usually the amount of time spent to try and find that magic number between the two isn't worth the 0.01% you're going to gain when you find that extra 50 megahertz.
Yeah, so, and the other thing is too, and I say this with overclocking on voltage too, which is probably the more prominent thing, is if you push too hard and you get too nitpicky and you just keep going up and up and up and playing with it and backing it off a little and backing it off a little, you're going to inevitably ruin the top end of the CPU. You're going to basically like ruin the potential to get to the maximum performance of that CPU. So go slow.
No, he updated us. I feel bad. He donated a second time just to correct us. He's asking about voltage offsets rather than being consistent. So he's talking about voltage scaling with. Okay, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that. Everyone should be doing an offset, but maybe I'll do a video on that. So I always use a fixed voltage to find my max overclock, so the voltage isn't fluctuating. And then what I'll do is I'll create an offset when I'm found that max overclock, so that when it turbos up, that's the voltage it will switch to, and then it goes back to like a C6 state or something that's lower power draw when it's under idle conditions. Yeah, that's something important to mention in the video. Good idea.
Yeah, I was gonna say don't get late because that's what I did on one of my overclocks, and my CPU just never really worked the same after that because I just started at a high voltage that I found on the internet. Like, everybody seems to be using this voltage to get to that speed, and it was way too much for my CPU. And then when I finally backed it off enough to where I got everything stable, the CPU was wonky. So just take your time. Go up little by little and do all the testing. Don't skip on it and be like, oh shit, I boot into Windows, everything's good, and reboot up at another volt.
I think a voltage video is in order.
I think so, because I've made that mistake myself, so I'm sure other people will also.
James Passmore, what's up, dude? That's beer money from Singularity Computers. Cheers, thank you. That's our resident PC guru that builds systems better than I think anybody on the planet. No, seriously. Singularity PCs, we've talked about it before. Singularity computers, we've talked about it before. Like literally, their water cooling builds and the level of detail they put into them is far and above beyond any patience I have for anything I do. So, yeah. Let's see. Eric Bradshaw.
Quite a few. So get cruising. Come on.
This is the last one.
All right.
Jay, keep up the great work with all the videos. I was curious if you have ever seen SLI graphics cards show up in the NVIDIA control panel reverse of how they are in the system. Seeing this currently on my MS X99. Jay, keep up the great work with all the videos. It doubled itself. Yes, it's happening all the time. It's happening right now with my Titans. My main card is showing up as card number 1, and the secondary card is showing up as card 0. So I don't know why, but yes, it does happen.
NVIDIA, oh my God. Okay, so the NVIDIA control panel, that is the most betaware thing I've ever used in my entire life. I go in there and I get every screen set up perfectly, and then I unplug one screen and plug it back into the exact same port, and they all shift over by one.
Dude, I was sitting in your room watching you every time you tried to set up the surround where it kept identifying as a different panel every time.
Terrible. It's like, how hard is it just to say this device with this PID or whatever goes here and save that? Why?
Yeah, I mean... So, his panels would say, 2, 1, 3, whatever, like the numbers on them. And he was like, okay, so that's the order. He would arrange them and then hit save. And then 2 turns into 1 and 3 turns into 2. And it's like, what is happening? And then finally it just worked. You didn't do anything. It just worked.
Literally, you just keep doing it and you keep doing it and you keep doing it. And then by the random act of whatever, just the Thor crashes his hammer and everything works. No.
All right, Jerry, you got 5 minutes. Make it fit.
All right, I'll do my best.
Lightning round, go.
James K said, hey guys, I want to thank you, especially Jay, for inspiring my build, Sabretooth. And he actually put a picture in here. I'm going to go ahead and look at that and see if it doesn't suck or if it's a direct rip off of one of yours. Let's see. Here we go. Nope, very unique looking. Actually looks a
Cool.
lot better than yours. It's a Nope, very unique looking. Actually looks a
Cool.
lot better than yours. It's a complete whiteout build. Looks like a stormtrooper build.
I like those builds.
Oh, dude, that's sweet. Oh, and the nice thing about it is he has the colored lighting in it. So when he changes the light, everything looks like it's that color because it's all white.
Well, that's the awesome. Yeah, that's the awesome part about white.
Dude, that's gorgeous. And he said, but I also want to give a shout out to OAFAH, OFA, who used hardware videos and has helped me out of depression. Stay awesome. OFA. I'm sorry.
I'm actually looking at doing another boutique build for myself, possibly to replace Skunkworks.
You should. You're damn good at it. I'd like to see what you come up with on another one. Damon B said, hey, Jerry, what's your current recommendation for a 3D printer sub $800? At that price range, there's only one printer I would highly recommend, and that is the Prusa i3 Mark II. Not the knockoffs, not the cheap ones on eBay. The one that's, I think, is about $700-800. They freaking just go like clockwork. You build it yourself, and they're amazing. And if you break apart, you just print another one and fix it. And I'm genuinely impressed with it. It's one of the printers that I don't have, and I still advertise the crap out of it. Let's see here. Joseph W said, ever since I saw a YouTube upload was tagged for showing a creator's autistic kid dancing to a particular piece of music, I don't feel sorry for downloading the odd bit of music.
Okay.
Ever since YouTube upload was tagged showing a creator's autistic child dancing to a particular piece of music, I don't feel sorry for downloading the odd bit of music. Okay, I mean, I guess what he's saying is that the music was doing something good, so he doesn't feel bad taking. I don't understand really. Joseph, can you elaborate on that? You can just email me directly. Let's see here. Jason Keys. Whoa, $40. Thank you, buddy. He said the NES Classic was hacked, and now you can add more games to it. Oh my God! Also, CMU 1.7 now supports 4K with the Wii U emulator. Have you tried it? Tell Jay I said hi.
Hi.
Great meeting him at the CES EVGA party, aka Water Cool Fool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently you met him, but that's okay. So the NES Classic, the system that was shipped to not have any more games on it, just have those games, has already been cracked and is playing more games. So that just goes to show, like Nintendo. So they
Dude, just locking something down by nature is a challenge.
It is, seriously. Man, they even figured out how to do that. That took them no time, right?
Yep.
See, Dylan said, he said, Jerry, don't say my name. Wait. Oh, okay. He posted your car plates number, and he said, don't say my name. YouTube keep doing a good job. I don't get what he's saying with that. Like,
even if he does, my plates are not registered to my house.
Okay, maybe he's just letting you know. Okay, well,
yeah.
Luckily, it didn't have his last name.
My license plates do not come back to my home.
I think he's literally just saying that he saw it somewhere. And the truth is, my number plates are in tons of my videos. People tell me every time I slip and put it in there, and I just said screw it and start putting them in all of them. But thank you for telling us that. Let's see. And then the same.
That's deader. That's deader, sir.
I think. Oh, sorry. No, Dylan. He just messaged me. He's like, I donated. Can you please refund my donation? Here's the ID. After he told you about the license number, I think it's because I didn't read it. Yeah, 13 minutes ago. I think he's saying my comment didn't get read. Damn it! I want my money.
Jeez.
Dylan, I read your comment, so I'm just gonna assume that you don't want a refund because that would be really weird for you to abuse the system like that to get me to read something. Okay, anyways. Choi R said, hey guys, just finished my $10,000 water cooling build. First time builder and water cooler here. Wow, water cooling on your first build. Holy crap. I just want to thank you guys both for your inspiration tips and just everything you've done for the community. You guys are the best. Here are some pics, and I'll open those up while I read another one. Wow, water cooling on his first build. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't
Why not? Everyone should water cool on their first build.
Hard, man. I don't care how easy it is for you. For me, it was a fucking nightmare to build my first one. That was after I'd already built like 2,000 computers. Damon B said, let's see. Thank you for the great answer on the camera and printer. Wow, you donated again. And potentially saving me money on getting a webcam. Yeah, no, that's I love using this thing as a webcam. What version are you using? I'm using the Mark III. They're up to the Mark V now. Only real difference between the two is the 4K functionality, which you're still limited at 5 minutes, and it's got some better autofocus and things like that. So if you can get the older one for really cheap, I'd recommend doing that. And also remember, even though you record at 1080p, you can upscale to 4K and still get some benefit there. Let's see. Said the thread I had read seemed to imply that streaming wouldn't work without a capture card. Oh, sorry, my bad. Did I imply that you didn't need a capture card? Because you do need a capture card. You absolutely need a capture card to stream, but anything that'll do a 1080p with an HDMI input works fine. So, Damon, just so you know, you do need a capture card. Okay, buddy? You do need a capture card. Let's see. I think that was all of them. And hopefully Dylan heard his comment, so he doesn't want his refund for that giant transaction ID. That was weird. I've never seen that before. Like, so he just messaged, hey, can you just read? No reason. Just I told Jay what his license plate number was. Now, can you give me my money back?
Jeez.
Dylan, I hope I just took that. I hope I just read all of that wrong. Because he just said, I'm just reading again. Jerry, don't say my name. Is this? Oh, he said, is this Jay's car plate number? He didn't say this is Jay's car plate number. He just said, is this his car plate number? So he probably saw it posted somewhere, saw it, and he wants confirmation. And he said, you two keep going. I can't give you confirmation on Jay's plate number. Just go watch all of his vlogs where he screws up, and you'll know. That's how you do it, guys. You gotta do the work. You gotta do the work. All right, I think that's it, bud.
Yeah. All right, well, dinner was ready for like 10 minutes ago, and my stomach is growling. So I'm going to roll the intro or outro thing, whatever. We're going to end this.
Roll it. Hey, what's up, guys? I hope you enjoyed the show. Please take a moment to hit that like button down there if you enjoyed the show. You can hit that dislike button, too, if you're a millennial and hate us. Hope you have a great or morning or whatever it is where you are. Later.
Penis!